And we is up, yo. Another day. No, I think I labeled this as Wednesday, but it's Thursday.
It's all okay.
Bro, last night's game. I
Yeah,
was excited about last night's game. Like for Wednesday night matchup. Last night was actually filled with
right.
good news.
Yeah, and they pushed it back. I think in Chicago because it was at 10. I think it was supposed to be a little earlier, but they wanted it to be ESPN. I don't think it was originally supposed to be ESPN.
I don't think so either. I think the way they had initially started it out, because unfortunately, what really sucks is, at least for us in the East Coast and for everybody that's in the East Coast, um, we got stuck with two games that were the Knicks and Nets, who we typically get on like regular cable.
Yeah, yes,
So it was like I feel like they switched it up because I think it was Atlanta played. Sorry, I already had this off the top of my head.
no, you're
Atlanta
fine.
Atlanta played the Heat,
Hmm.
but the Heat are killed with injuries right now, which is surprising that they even pulled out that game. And then, of course, the Lakers late game, being that the Lakers have been so terrible, and it pains me to say that, but I think that was supposed to be the late game, and that ended up getting switched,
Right.
which I'm grateful that it did.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of like, when it's. I feel like it's always sucky when it's your team, but I feel like they also try to cater to the West Coast, just a little bit,
For sure.
um, which is fine. But yeah, it was tough, man. I was trying to keep my eyes open during that game, but they made it kind of easy for me, my Bulls, because after that game, we got like 20 points, 30 points out of hand. I was like, all right, this game's pretty much
Yeah,
over. It's
yeah.
it's not much of a
But
comeback.
I will
But
say that
I
it
I
didn't
think
start out that way.
yeah, no. I think they did well. I mean, it was a sucky. What was it? Not even 30 seconds that Derrick Jones Jr. went down.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that was a tough. Did they say the severity of that knee injury? Because it, to me, it kind of looked like a hyperextension, but I could tell that from the discomfort from it, it didn't seem as serious, but it was definitely something that he might be out for a while.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, it's just that's like a. I think that's something we'll definitely try to target in the trade deadline. Maybe not a big name, but just a solid power forward because that seems to be where our struggles are.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I think
but
it's more so like because you guys have Green playing that power forward position right now.
and he's a little bit smaller for the position too. If I'm being honest, he's more to me he's more shooting guard, small forward. Um, it's just a tricky spot. Even Derrick Jones Jr. Even though he's like what is he traditionally power forward? I feel like
I think technically
he
he's a small forward.
yeah. I was about to say I feel like he plays more small. Um, but yeah, that's a noticeable area that we'll have to fix. I feel like if we're gonna make an attempt to go all the way. But I think it was a good game for us. I'm like happy with it in a sense because I feel like this was like a true test for us. Um, and I know Billy Donovan is a great coach. He'll definitely come up with some solution if this is to be a potential game. But if it is a game, obviously we're not going to see this matchup until like the Eastern Conference Finals if it was to end right now.
Which is
So
what I would hope for.
yeah, I think everyone is. I think it's two great teams, but we'll have to see what happens.
And that series would go down to coaching at the end of the day.
Right.
So
I'm
that's where
hoping.
it would end up.
I'm hoping. We don't. This is. I know this is the most backwards way of thinking. I'm hoping as a Bulls fan that we don't get the number one spot.
Really?
I
Why?
would. I would rather us be away at a game 7 with Kyrie potentially not playing. I feel like that's a better
Okay.
scenario for us in that sense. Like I'm just thinking ahead, right? Even though they said they might pay for him his
I was
fines
about to say
now
that.
and all this stuff, but
I was about to say that.
who knows? Who knows? He might. Yeah, that's tricky, man.
Nah, you're right. And to be honest, I hadn't even thought that far into it yet.
Right.
But if they were to say the route that, oh, we're not going to pay this extra money, then seeding for them does matter,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to certain games. So actually, it might be to their benefit to not do so well.
Yeah. To be like. Yeah. True. Maybe drop down to 3. Honestly,
Drop down to three,
uh,
or get yourself down to 4, where you would end up with playing a lot more away games than home, or start off series more away than home.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest though. I think if you just go down the list though for Chicago, I think that's gonna be like the toughest aspect for them, that power forward spot,
Mm-hmm.
because you got Giannis, you got KD. We could go down the East. It's like solid power forwards.
It's more so big bully kind of power forwards.
Right, like it's really nothing you could do. Like,
No, I think the best matchup for you guys would be a team like the Charlotte Hornets that don't have a true power forward or a true center for that matter.
mhm. Yeah, I'm just looking at it and I don't know what would happen, but um, yeah, I'm interested to see with this trade deadline. I want to get. I'm sure we'll talk about Cam Reddish later, but I mean, we could talk about like the Nets if you want to, like what
Yeah.
you think their ceiling is. I guess now that Kyrie's back.
So to be completely honest with you, I think their ceiling doesn't even truly lie with their stars, because we know how far their stars can take
Right.
them. Stars can take
It's
them,
definitely
but
the depth.
it's their depth and
Bro, they had two people, and Mark Jackson even said it. Like I didn't even know who these two who these two gentlemen were
before the
before the game
game
started, and then
started.
we knew their name after the first 2 minutes. Like they were definitely
Exactly.
making plays. So
Exactly. And mind you, these are two players that before that game had only played together. I think he said a grand total of 25 minutes on an NBA court.
yeah, they did really well with the starting core. So
Exactly.
it's kind of like a team where you could really just plug and pull. It seems more than anything.
And that also speaks to Steve Nash's system, what he has them running, how they have everything going. It's a great setup for how they have their team, but I will say I think more than anything else, what really showed for them last night was how good defensively they could be.
Right. Listen, if I'm the Bulls, and let's just say a hypothetical standpoint is we do verse them, and our
Mhm.
team is healthy. This is the matchups I would like to see. Obviously, I would put DeMar on KD. Obviously that's not going to stay, but I feel like when it comes to KD, here's my 2 cents. Like when you put someone who doesn't have that brand on, I guess, on their NBA career, so to speak,
Okay.
KD tends to get away with a lot, if that makes sense. Like
Okay.
he gets a lot of calls
Yeah.
that wouldn't necessarily be calls if it was just it's just physical basketball, so to speak.
No, I,
I kind of noticed that during the Bulls game. Like uh, Kobe was getting in foul trouble with him. Io was getting in foul trouble. But as soon as DeMar came on, like he was playing a lot more physical than them, and it was kind of like just play ball
at the end of the day, you have a little bit of seniority. That
because
there's a lot.
they don't want to get either of them in foul trouble because they're
Exactly.
the stars retrospectively of the team. But
Exactly.
it's a hard situation. I would like Alex on Alex. I would say Alex on Kyrie if he comes back, and then Lonzo on Harden. Even though I feel like Harden's the that what if factor kind of like
See,
you don't really know what Harden's gonna show up.
for me personally, I think the only thing I would switch to that, because the Nets would be getting Joe Harris back by that time. I
True,
would like to see Alex on
Joe.
Joe Harris,
True
have Kyrie
on
and
Lonzo.
they'll go at it,
Right,
and then put Levine on James. The only reason why I say that is because James doesn't do well against athleticism,
true.
and on top of that,
I think it's that stop and go that Levine provides. Like you don't know if he's
exactly,
gonna step back for the three
he
or
will elevate off the step back, so he
right,
can get to at least close to blocking that shot. Versus anybody else is typically caught off guard or caught flat-footed, where
right.
Zach kind of has that better balance to
And
kind
I'm
of.
not worried at any other position. That's the funniest thing. It's just power forward.
True.
But I
Well, I
think
mean,
the
Vucevic
Nets.
is a very big advantage for you guys.
Yeah, I think the Nets have a good set. Like they could go all the way for sure. It's just gonna be tough. I think it's James really. I think Kyrie came back and proved like he's right back where I don't want to say he was. There's gonna be some condition, but he's right back in the mix of things. Like
Exactly. And
But James is just I don't know. Like it depends on the game sometimes. Like he'll have like 5 turnovers back to back to back, or he'll like it's funny how like I feel like we have this narrative about Russ, right?
mhm,
Um, it, when I feel like he's not even that inconsistent. He's the Russ we all know. It's just maybe it's not fitting right now. But
exactly.
with James, it's kind of like the same situation almost in my eyes. Like it's I wouldn't say it's not fitting, but he's not like the player he was either. If we're comparing both of them to the MVP form,
Oh,
so it's
for
like
sure,
weird.
for sure. And I think it also comes down to the fact that the play style of both of those teams are different. James is the Nets are definitely a lot more fitted for James, whereas Russ and the
Yeah,
Lakers, I feel like right now, the way we're constructed, we're way more constructed towards either LeBron or AD, and we don't play Russ's style 95% of the time.
right.
So Russ is kind of just making up his own thing, and when he does trying to push it down court, he's typically by himself or he's with Malik Monk, and that's it. So it kind of lends itself to a bad situation coming from the start, but it's definitely like you said, it comes down to what the scheme is, and we don't hold James to that kind of standard that we do Russ for whatever
Which
reason.
is weird. It's weird to me, right? Because I feel like the narrative a couple years ago was so different. It was like
Mhm.
James and Jordan. Like it was unrealistic
Yep,
comparisons, but it was just I guess the scoring titles he was winning,
exactly.
and now it's like the rule changed where they add a little more defensive contact now, but it's like he's not the same, and
Nah,
it's like that's not the narrative though everywhere. It's just
exactly.
literally you turn on ESPN and it's Russell Westbrook, which is just strange. He's like
Yep.
the poster boy when there's a few players who aren't the same.
Yeah, and I
To
think it
me, I think
comes
that's
down
something we do need to discuss though. Is like, why is it affecting James so hard and not Trey? Because it was designed for both of them.
true,
This rule change, and I
true.
feel like Trey is having a great season.
I think he adjusted to the little changes of what they said wasn't a foul because he
Okay,
still does that little move where he kind of gets in front of the defender,
but a lot of people do.
pauses.
I even see Steph doing it sometimes still
Yeah,
too. So it's
yeah.
like,
They are very inconsistent on how they're calling. I will say that
yes, because
they
James got one last night.
he did.
It was
He did.
very early in the first. I think it was on IO. I'm not sure who was on,
I
but
believe it was when he was coming across the middle and he swung over.
yeah, and I was
He
like,
was
all
obvious
right,
that he brought his arms
what are
to.
we doing? Because it seems like
Mhm,
he's getting those calls a little bit more lately
mhm.
than before. But yeah, it's just weird. I like the defensive change. I think it's great. I think teams have to adjust, and I think this is where the bench becomes more important in every
Exactly.
NBA team.
Depth is going to start being more important. I wish that they would take it. I don't want to say a step further. Like we don't need to go back to hand checking, but at the same time, we're still at a point in the league where like there's a lot more free throws than free flowing movement. So you not. So I think there's. I don't think they started making the rule change about the whole fast break.
No,
Uh,
not yet.
but
It's mostly just shooting.
change.
Um, but yeah, I think it's an interesting take. Um, I think how everyone talks about depth on benches, no one really talks about the Bulls though. Like when we're healthy, I think Chicago has a pretty uh good depth. Obviously, they're missing. I feel like a couple pieces, but
So
yeah, I don't know.
the thing is, when we talk about bench depth, the only team I really have in mind as far as bench depth is the Heat.
Oh, for sure.
And it shows in games like how they just to beat the Hawks at home or at Atlanta by 14 points or 24 points, excuse me. When you didn't even have Jimmy, Bam,
Oh yeah,
like that says a lot. And that mostly is just their depth. Having Tyler Hero still coming off the bench and scoring the way he does.
yeah. Isn't
It's
isn't isn't Kendrick Nunn on the Lakers now?
yeah. I mean, he's on the Lakers by name, but he's not actually. He hasn't played a game since.
Is it? Is there an injury or like what's going on?
Yeah, I think it's his knee, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
damn,
He's been out with a knee injury
because he's a
since.
great player too. That's what I was saying. Like,
Yeah, I would love to see how that's going to look with him and Russ on the court. being that they're kind of similar, but none does shoot the ball better.
Right.
I was surprised that we got rid of or we didn't keep Isaiah Thomas because they were similar players, and if we wanted to
That
see
was
how
strange to me. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm happy that Isaiah did find a home with. I think he's on the Kings right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So I'm happy that he's finding a home. I'm happy a lot of people are finding themselves back on teams. Lance is doing this thing with Indiana.
bro. Lance. Hey, shout out to Lance. That's definitely a story,
Exactly.
bro. I remember us talking about that earlier, and I was like, bro, that'd be crazy if we went to Indiana. Uh,
Yeah, good old
yeah, that's
shit.
what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's just where he belonged. Like, that's where I remember Lance. Lance is just a menace, bro. And I just remember him versus Miami Heat LeBron. And that was like the go-to matchups
He
that I
was
was
the
looking
only one
for.
that wanted to challenge Bron, and it took.
It was beautiful. That's what I'm
It,
saying.
that was a true rivalry.
But we said this when we was talking about like the change in defensive rules and stuff. I was like, bro, you gotta bring back Lance now. Like,
Exactly.
that's it. And
Exactly.
look, I'm happy he went to a team that needs a lot, but definitely needed the spark that Lance brings. And
Now this is a crazy take, and I've been one of the few people that even like actually take this take. I personally thought in those years with Lance, a young PG, Danny Granger, Roy Hibbert,
oh yeah,
like I felt that team honestly could have taken out the Heat when
for
healthy,
sure.
not and actually
I
gaining some
I don't
years of
I don't
experience.
think that's even like a crazier take though. I think
But
that
yeah,
was like everyone's feeling was like they were right there. Like
but
I think even the Heat knew like, hey bro, this is the one team that we don't want to go up against. And it
very
just happened.
But when you start talking about, the LeBron fans, I understand it. Everybody rocks with who they rock with, but
Yeah, people talk down on PG like he's not PG sometimes, and
PG
it's disrespectful. But
to come back from the injury he came back from and still be balling on people the way he does, like people got to give that man his respect.
before that injury, people forget who PG was. Like,
Exactly.
so it's weird for me like to see people talk crazy about PG like playoff P and all this stuff, but it was literally just him.
It
when
was.
when we go back to that series, like who
It
else
was him
was?
and Lance.
Yeah, like who
Roy
else was?
Hibbert disappeared. Danny Granger was always hurt. So
And I feel like this year he's kind of establishing himself again. It's just kind of quiet. Like I don't know.
yeah,
That team is like it's not set up to go anywhere without Kawhi. So,
and the Clippers are really just
but
they're kind of teetering through everything.
people need to realize like the day of one star and a bunch of role players is over. Nowadays, it's like
You gotta have a team.
to get a chip, you need multiple stars. Like, just is what it is.
And a lot of teams are coming with it, whether you homegrown those stars or whatever it takes, it's just gonna be. But even in the case of like, because one team we definitely got to talk about that's been definitely underachieving this whole year has been the Celtics.
Yeah, for sure.
At some point, I think
They're
if
gonna get
this-
broken up,
I think at the end of this year, if this doesn't work, then they're probably just gonna move
and
away.
it's not gonna be
Oh, they're not
Jason.
moving.
So it's
They're not
definitely
moving.
Jalen.
Yeah,
But there was talks about Ben, but they were saying that I guess not Danny Ainge. What's his name? Brad Stevens.
Mhm.
I guess was saying that he's not ready to split those two up for Ben Simmons. But I mean, if I'm looking at them, bro, that'd be a nice pairing in my eyes. Like
if
that
it
would be.
comes with picks too,
I feel like that would be a better pairing than the one they currently have. If I'm being honest, I think Jalen's a great player. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I think on the Sixers, even I think that's a great fit for him as well.
exactly.
So
the one thing is, I think they would have to move Tobias with that, because to me personally, I don't think Tobias fits that culture for what Philadelphia is trying to do.
that would have to be a separate trade because I don't think the Celtics have the assets for that. So that would have to be like a three team trade or something like that.
Exactly, and that's where it gets a little crazy. We start speculating it,
but if I'm being honest now, Dame, we saw the news. Dame is out indefinitely. We don't really know when he's going back because he just went under the knife for abdominal surgery. So it's like, could that be a potential like trade now? Like,
and also
because they both have their issues. Like, yeah, Dame's coming off this abdominal surgery, but Ben doesn't want to play for you guys. Like, so it's like
And then you also got the situation with CJ. Do they move on from CJ too and just go full
I
rebuild?
think they would have to. I think it would be disrespectful to keep CJ under those circumstances, right? Like, yeah, I don't think they would go to the same team either. Like, they would have to be split
No,
up.
for sure. But it would be a tough. I think that's a tough situation, especially knowing that they just got Chauncey Billups as a head coach. They
Yeah,
just
but
start moving and
it's not
stuff.
like you got to get rid of Chauncey.
No, not at
It's
all.
like give Chauncey a new course, a new nucleus, and see what he could do with. Like, I think it's harder for a new coach to deal with the expectations of a superstar on his last year. That it's like, uh, basically win or I'm out. Like, or bring in
Exactly.
assets or I'm out, which is what Dame is expecting. So it's like it's not going to happen this year.
Not at all.
Like, I don't think anybody, including myself, expected the Warriors. Like, I expected them to be a top 3, maybe top 4 without. I expected them to be top 3. I think like 3-4 seed
Okay.
without Clay, because we saw what happened with Kelly Oubre last year.
Well, I think
Steph was hurt as well, so I won't say
exactly. That's
like,
what I was going to say. I think the only thing was having Steph be healthy to start the year, having Draymond be healthy to start the year, because Draymond wasn't always there last year.
But even with Draymond's been hurt in and out, and I feel like they're still.
Yeah, COVID has kind of been screwing that.
Now it's his knee, I think, I believe.
His knee now.
But it's that bench. I'm saying that really stepped up. No one expected Gary Payton. Gary Payton's insane, bro. Like, he's literally carrying that second unit. Toscano, Poole, like, they got some serious depth that I don't think any of us predicted. Like, we knew they had. So that goes to show, like, I don't know what their farming system is like over there, but
yeah,
that's top notch over there.
It's their way of developing young talent.
It's not even that though. It's like I feel like they do a good job at like pairing with their superstars. Like, they know what they have and they know what they need.
Exactly.
So they like groom it for the future, which is great.
Exactly. And it shows in the fact that everybody loves to play for them too. You never get players that come away from Golden State.
Not for sure.
They all want.
I mean, KD.
KD was the only one, but he wanted to do for himself in a sense.
I don't really know if I believe KD, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I don't either. I think it was a thing with him and Draymond, but
yeah, I want to believe him that like maybe they mishandled his injury. But it's kind of hard to believe, bro. Like, I don't think anybody would want to put a superstar of your caliber in jeopardy like that. Like, especially if there's potential of you coming back. Like, okay, forget this finals, bro. We're gonna win like 3 more. Like, it's like, it's iffy to me. But yeah, the Warriors are great.
I felt that they could have won, even without KD.
That's what I'm saying. It was just to me, it was Clay's injury that really like sealed the deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was Clay. Yeah, I was confident even with Clay.
And
we all know Game 6 Clay different, bro. So I was waiting for it.
Man, I just can't wait for the man to be in playoffs this year.
That's what I'm saying. He just got to get his feet under him. But that's a team I'm excited to see again. Like, I mean,
and I
feel like basketball is just great now with the Warriors. It's kind of like how back in the day, like, I mean, it's still great with the Lakers, but I'm saying it's kind of like that feel now, where like it's good to see the Lakers in the West, like the Warriors in the West doing their thing. It's just everything's right.
So many teams be competitive on top of that too.
It's kind of like the East now, like with the Bulls. It's good to see the Bulls on top. It's good to see, you know what I mean? Like, the Sixers are struggling, but it's always good to see the Sixers in the mix. It's always good. Those like big East teams, like Milwaukee now. It's good.
You got the Cavs even in the 4th seed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cavs has got a core, bro. If you let them all develop, it's the same with the Rockets. Like, bro, just let those young kids develop as well.
It's gonna take a little bit of time, but
yeah, like you're gonna have some losing seasons. Don't get me wrong, but just let it happen and let's see what they become. Cause bro, they got some ballers. Sexton's not even there yet. Like,
their best 2 guards aren't playing.
Right.
They also lost. They lost Rudy. They lost Rudy Why am I? Why I don't want to say Rudy Fernandez? That's not his name.
Willie Hernandez Gomez.
No, Ricky Rubio.
Oh, Ricky Rubio.
And they lost Colin Sexton. To lose
Right.
both of them and still be hitting your stride the way you are, like that's they found a way to keep it going, and they beat the Jazz last night by 20 points. Like that does not come easy against the Jazz.
I think it's also their style. Like
exactly.
we've heard about run and gun, but they're like extreme run and gun, like fast paced. Like they're like a soccer team almost. It's like
but
super
they're not
cardio.
even just running gun with like small players. They're running gun with that like 3 players at least 6'10" and up.
Well, I feel like it also helps because like Laurie's used to that in Chicago, running with Zach. I feel like so. That's a big bonus for them, and like they got Jared Allen. That's a great pickup. He's coming into his own, and it's scary. Yep. Like, yeah, that's gonna be a center we're gonna hear.
I honestly think Evan Mobley is gonna end up with Rookie of the Year. Personally, he's my choice for Rookie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for sure. Right now, like if it ends today, for sure.
Oh, for sure, he's hands down. The only other person I might even give it to is rookie from the Raptors right now, Scotty Barnes. It's the only other person I would think of.
Yeah, I mean, Cade had a rough go. Cade had a rough go early on. He's kind of getting into the swing of things now. You're kind of seeing it, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, especially for him since he doesn't really have anyone else on the team and running. He's literally running the full team on his own, trying to get that hump together. But man, it's just great to see the league actually like be exciting. I wish they did have the Sixers Hornets game on last night because I felt like that was one of the better games to watch. With Joel being as dominant as he's been against a team that doesn't really have a true big.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta address something real quick, bro. I saw JJ before the game. JJ Redick. I love JJ Redick. I watch his podcast all the time. But they had asked him a question or something about it was like basically is the team hype or are they for real? And it was about the Bulls, and he was like, they're hype. He was like, if you take it all away, they're hype right now. Like they're probably the 5th best team in the East, he said. And I was looking at JJ like, bro, are you serious? fifth best team in the East? Like I get it. We got the Nets. He even said the Sixers are better. So I mean, you got the Nets, you got the Bucks, you got the Sixers. I don't know who else is in the fourth spot, but Heat. He said. I think he said Heat. I agree. Like the Heat would be up there.
I can see that.
The Heat are like. That would be. Yeah. So I was just like, bro, you got me confused with this narrative that like, but I'm cool with it. I love it though. I love that so many people are like doubting the Chicago Bulls. I'm sure every other team would.
But at the same time, like, who else would he actually put in front of him? Because if you're going to say that the Bulls are hype, the Cavs right now would be a hype pick for anyone because they're just riding a good wave right now. The Celtics are really underachieving. The Knicks, I mean, they're the Knicks. I'm sorry. I'm not going to try and act like I'm the biggest Knicks advocate, but personally, their team is not constructed in a way that, you know, they're one superstar away from being a really good team in the East. Personally speaking,
I would love to see Dame go there. Honestly, but
I would love to see it too.
I think he got that like attitude for like New York.
Exactly, I think it will work. I think Kemba. It's unfortunate, but
I was so excited for Kemba, bro. Like
he was on a great stretch for a while,
but it wasn't even his fault. Some of it, I feel like Tom is like super. Tom is Tom. I mean, Tom is like one of those coaches we all know. He's kind of like Steve Van Gundy. Like they're both like hard-nosed, defensive-minded coaches. Where like, yeah, scoring is fine, but if you're not doing the other things, you got to ride this bench. And I feel like that's But that's what it came with Kemba. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like Kemba easily. I would say top. It was a pair. He was top 3 guards in the league. I don't know. So like
and I still don't think he's that far down. It's just I think a lot of people are so big on size nowadays
Yeah.
that they deem him undersized and kind of just undervalue him,
You know
especially
what I
since he
was
doesn't really
surprised
shoot the
about?
three ball. You know?
When they made the trade for Rondo, Cleveland, I was like, bro, you got John Wall sitting there.
That is true. That is true. I just don't think John Wall fit what they wanted to do as well
John
as
Wall's a great point. I
Rondo
don't I
does.
don't know what like these
No,
narratives are though.
I
Like
definitely
no,
agree with
I
that,
agree that he may not fit in that situation, but I'm saying there's a lot of
Mhm.
opportunities for like teams needing point guards at this point in time.
bro.
So it's
I don't
like
see Rondo.
I'm confused
Like,
in some sense. Like
there's teams honestly that right now could use. To be honest, the Celtics could use a great scoring guard right now. If we're gonna
yeah,
be completely honest,
but that's just my point. I feel like we're like I don't know what's going on. I feel like there's like a shift in like the NBA right now. We're like seeing like all these guards like not even that long ago that were like or
great
players in
guards
general that were just great.
that
It's like
aren't getting any minutes, any shine.
and I doubt they're like any worse than they used to be. Granted, injuries happen and stuff, but it's just crazy.
It's a complete shift in how things are kind of being run right now. Granted, like a team. First off, I'm just gonna flat out say I think the Grizzlies are a hype pick for right now,
For sure.
just because Josh playing out of his mind. I love Josh. I
That
think
it's a long season though.
exactly. There's gonna be some time for that to really for us to see when teams start really scheming for him a little bit better. Everybody starts getting a little bit more healthy. Defense starts getting a little bit more, locked down and contained. How is that team going to handle it with all the youth that they have? They're a really young team, like
Yeah.
extremely young.
If I'm honest, it was eye opening though. I feel like that exposed a lot to me. The Grizzlies Lakers games where I was like, and I
Well,
feel like you guys aren't as much of family as you are a team. I feel like if that makes sense, like you guys aren't all playing together.
I don't even think they even genuinely like each other.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. Like
That's
besides
the
Melo
thing.
and Brown, obviously we know their
Yeah.
relationship, but I'm just saying like it don't seem like y'all got each other's backs. Because even like when the whole scuffle was happening with LeBron, I see not one person like come
Bro,
help LeBron. Like
there's been multiple times where players have gone on the floor, needed like
someone to
somebody to
get
come
him.
run and pick
Yeah,
them up. That doesn't happen no more.
that's weird to me. Like because that's
Yeah,
one thing I could say with like the Bulls, the Nets, the Bucks, the Sixers, like even all the drama they got going on. It seems like more of a family there. Like they're like I don't know. It just seems like y'all aren't gelling. I feel like that might be the issue. I don't think it's a talent problem or a coaching problem, a scheme. I think it's just like y'all just don't fit right now.
exactly. And it's gonna take some time for them to like. I won't even. I don't even want to say it would take them time to kind of mesh that way. I think it's just the fact that everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And granted, I will say that life is not just basketball. There's other things to do in life, and everybody should be able to do their own thing. But LeBron doing a movie, Westbrook, producing his own.
Documentary, I think.
No, he's actually doing his own like movie studio. Like they're helping to produce the new Bel Air series with Will Smith.
Right.
Like we're all kind of doing their own thing, and I think that takes away from the camaraderie of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're trying to build up with a whole new like this team is basically brand new. There's AD, LeBron, and
I think that's something to be said though. I feel like nowadays I don't really like this in basketball, but I feel like everyone kind of like thinks it's just supposed to happen so instantly. Like, um, but that's like the era we're in now. I feel like it's happened like over the past couple of years. I would say.
yeah,
I don't.
for sure.
I don't. I don't even think it happened like when the Warriors got KD or something like that. It just happened recently where I feel like we assemble a team now and it's like chip.
I
If it
think
doesn't work, like it's like, oh, everybody has to go. Like all the pieces don't fit.
the realest thing is I think the Celtics fully started it. I think it was when we once that Ray Allen, KG, Paul Pierce last push for a championship happened. I think that's when everybody was like, all right, well, they did it. So that's the set standard now.
Right.
Everybody
Just assemble a team quick and hope they win a chip. Like it's like
exactly. And
yeah.
it doesn't work that way. You gotta mesh. You gotta come together because when it push comes to shove, if it don't work,
Yeah.
y'all don't mesh, it ain't gonna work.
I think that's why I'm like, I don't know. It's just weird. Because I feel like you guys have a great team. I just think y'all just need time. It's not gonna happen
Yeah.
overnight.
It's a great team on paper right now, but we aren't really a great team in a sense that like I feel like everybody on the court is gonna do everything they can to help each other win right now. It's not at least I don't see it.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that once a team goes ahead. Like last night, Kings weren't up at halftime by like 15. They were up by 5.
Yeah.
And once a team gets a 10-point lead on us, it's just like, all right, well, we either pack it in or we fight for a little bit with the bench players, but everything else doesn't come together. I know we cut the lead down to like I believe 4 at the end of the fourth quarter when I watched some of the highlights back, which was nice to see. It wasn't the bench that did it; it was the actual starters that came in and did it, which is nice to see. But on nights where you're expected to beat teams that are considered like the Kings aren't considered to do much in the league right now, and to lose to a team like that the way we did is kind of like
Yeah.
it's an eye opener for sure.
It's just interesting. Yeah.
But one thing we definitely got to talk about because it's playoff weekend. We got the playoffs this weekend, and
yes, sir.
And I gotta say, I am not confident going into Saturday.
For you guys,
I will say for my Patriots, whenever there's a really cold game, anything could go. When you're outdoors in Buffalo and -3-degree weather,
it's gonna be a great game though. Like
it'll be a great game for people to watch. It's just not for
for
fans
the players.
of the Bills or the Patriots. It's because it's
Yeah.
gonna be cool.
I don't know. I think if anybody can, I mean, y'all used to playing in the cold. It's not like it's like new to you guys, but
for both teams.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm sorry to say this. Like, I really hope the Bills do something, just because it's like a team that like, bro. I understand like they've been solid for so long, and it's exciting that they got a franchise quarterback, got an electric wide receiver like Stephon Diggs. Their defense has always been clicking, but it's just nice to see now. But it's always like a gritty Patriots team. Like I feel like the Patriots and the Steelers are similar in the sense where like they get the job done. It's not always pretty. Like that's just the Patriot and Steeler way, almost like.
Our best games are games where nothing looks good and the team holds the other team to at least 2 field goals. That's our best.
So I feel like if there's 2 teams that like aren't expected to win and may win, like it's you two. So
yeah, that's very true.
It's
and
like,
to be honest, I'm a big fan of Josh Allen. Like he's one of the few quarterbacks. Like I think he's like a Ben 2.0.
Yeah, big, tall, solid like quarterback,
and he'll do whatever it takes to win. He doesn't care what it is. He wants to just win, and I'll give him that. Like he's one of the few quarterbacks. Every single time we play them, I'm like, man, I don't want to play him.
He's opposite than Ben, though. I say is like he's like team friendly.
That's very true. It's not
like you could tell. Yeah, you could tell his receivers love him. Like everybody loves him on the team, which is great to see.
Exactly,
and that's not always the case.
His community loves him too. Like the Bills fan base just loves him.
Yeah,
he's good in the community. I'm not saying that Ben's not, because I don't fully know what goes on in Pittsburgh, but the fact that they even in the playoffs in general, Pittsburgh got crazy lucky. I don't know how.
It was a lot of shit that had to happen. I forget like all the shit that had to happen.
For
wasn't it the Jaguars had to win against the Colts?
The Colts had to lose, meaning Jaguars won. The
Ravens had to lose, right?
Ravens had to lose, which they did. Well, they beat the Ravens. Pittsburgh beat the Ravens. Mm-hmm. And then the only thing that the Chargers and Raiders had to do was do everything. One of them either had to win or the game.
Right, like they couldn't tie, though.
They couldn't tie, and that was the only thing. If they
Right.
tied, Pittsburgh didn't get it. Somehow the game ended up to a point where it really looked like if I honestly think if the Chargers don't call that timeout on third down, we'd be looking at a Chargers Raiders playoff game instead of a Steelers
Yeah, I
playoff.
know they were talking about that. They want him to be fired, the Chargers coach, because
Oh,
it was a coaching issue. So
oh, yeah. And to say that, I think he came out and said that he felt they were gonna run the ball regardless, and they were gonna get the first down. It's like you can't say that you assume that, knowing that they had 5 to 6 yards to go.
right.
Third down, the game's about to end. If them running the football or taking a knee, like their chances of just going to the playoffs by just taking a knee was so much greater than running the football. Why would you like that? None of that made sense. Or he also said, I think, that they didn't have a defensive package out to stop the run.
Hmm.
Again, it's just like, well, why wouldn't you, knowing the situation of the game?
Right.
And so none of these answers that you're given is helpful.
Yeah. It's a weird situation.
All around. But I will say, I think hands down the highlight of the week is, for me personally, being a Patriots fan, I'll definitely be tuning into that Patriots Bills game. But it's, man, I hate cold games. And even though I think, honestly, I'm more excited to see the Bengals Raiders game, just because I think that's going to be nothing but scoring and no defense. Personally.
I think the Bengals pull it out though.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the way. Well, I've been meaning to ask. What was the injury that they ended up saying that Joe Burrow had, and if he's going to be 100% for this game? That was the one thing I forgot to go do some research on. But I think he should be fine to start. I don't think there's I don't think he's not starting. Yeah, no, he's starting. Yeah, I don't think there was anything that was going to keep him out of this game. But between Joe Burrow, if I had to choose a team that I think was going to make it, I would say the Bengals. Even though the Raiders have gone through a crazy year and just been able to push through and just keep moving,
Right.
Raiders hands down have kind of weathered through every storm possible. So I got to give them that. Man, I don't even know. I can't say I know a team that I feel like I don't know a team that, if we had to sit here and say it's their championship to lose, I can't pick a team out of the playoffs right now that.
Yeah, no.
I give that to.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird, man. We're seeing Kansas City in the wild card game. It's like different this year. I mean, I hope there's a lot of teams that can take it. It's kind of like the NBA this year. I feel like I don't know. There's just a lot of good teams.
And on top of that, we still have COVID kind of just taking a huge chunk of everything out of it. Shoot, we almost didn't have a NFL playoffs the way COVID was kind of taken up.
Right.
So it's been a bit of a crazy week. Not even just a crazy week, but a crazy year in sports in general.
Yep.
You can get this far. And I think they already moved the Super Bowl because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna get a little bit crazy with everything, but man, I think for as much as we've gotten, and hopefully, actually, there is actually a meeting today for the MLB to see if they can end the lockout.
Right.
At some point, because then
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's one of them situations where both parties are like set on getting what they want.
Yep.
But if you know anything about lockouts, it's like the players aren't going to get everything they want. It's almost never. It's not almost never. It's like never going to happen. So yeah, it's just like the players are going to have to come together and decide what they really want.
And what they're willing to give up.
Yeah, like it's going to have to be a couple items. It's not going to be everything on their list, though.
Exactly, and it's a little bit tough because I feel like every 3 or 4 years we end up hitting this point with player associations, whether it be the NBA, NFL.
Yeah, it's happened in all major sports, especially in America. But
it's going to continue to happen because of the revenue that comes into it and what gets pumped into it, and players wanting obviously a piece of the pie.
mm-hmm.
But at some point, I think it's just going to come down to putting in provisions to kind of help that. I don't even know how they could possibly kind of keep that revenue kind of going up with the market, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if they were able to make that happen, it would kind of just keep things flowing. But the trickle down effect of that is also now you have college players getting paid. How is that going to transform? And there's too much nuances that go into it, and there's so much. It's obviously billionaires talking to millionaires and those kind of problems, but. Man, I hope that we get a baseball season this year.
Right, me too.
The way it kind of looks, it's not too guaranteed at this point.
Yep. Nah, I'm excited for everything to come really in all the sports. I'm looking forward to this week.
This week is going to be a great week. Man, I think we can wrap it up there, and then we start talking a little bit more about fights tomorrow.
Okay. For sure.
I know there's a couple. It's a lot of smaller fights, but the build up.
No, there's some big UFC ones coming for sure.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, we got I think in less than 2 weeks the heavyweight unification fight is coming. So Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane.
Oh yeah, that is supposed to.
Wow. Which is like interesting. I'll just touch on a little bit. It's interesting because like Francis and Cyril both trained together. They were training partners. Obviously Francis left, but Cyril went on an amazing run. He's 18-0. Francis took a couple losses, but he's the champ now.
Exactly.
I forget what happened necessarily. It was so quick. Like Francis didn't even get a chance to really defend the belt. It was almost like he got injured. They didn't give him no time, and they decided to do an interim belt. So Cyril got it, and it should be a great fight. But it's intriguing also from a business aspect because Francis is technically on his last fight. But I know there's like a clause where if he wins and he defends, like he has to defend it one more time. So he has another one added on to his contract. But
and technically that would be the rematch if he loses.
I
think there'd be a rematch either way, to be honest.
Eventually, but I don't know if it would happen right away, honestly.
Oh no. I don't
because he hasn't been it's not like he's like a crazy interim champ that just went on a crazy run.
Sure. And I do feel
I think Stipe needs a rematch. If anybody needs a rematch, Stipe ran that division for so long.
That's true. I just feel like because of the names, Dana would try and keep because in their sense that's their like almost biggest heavyweight fight, at least of the last year.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely up there. I think there's only one fight that'll be bigger than this, and we all know what that is. This
for sure.
John Jones and Francis. I mean,
exactly.
I saw on the predictions, and I'm sure we'll get into it next time. But I think Daniel Cormier put his biggest prediction for 2022 is John Jones fights for the heavyweight title and loses.
Really?
So. Yeah, that's just some food for thought. I guess we'll touch on next time.
Oh, definitely. We definitely will. But this is the first vid we got on the new podcast, on the new channel. Yo, like, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty proud of the work on that logo.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Zamir for that.
Yo, no, but I appreciate you because, I mean, this is something that, brought back the creativity in me. So I got to have a little fun with it. But man, I'm excited to see what this year brings us, to be completely honest. Like,
yes, sir.
Coming on this official review, coming to a store near you, coming to a TV near you, a video near you, a phone near you, whatever you use, an iPad, man, you could be watching.
Go ahead, like and subscribe. You feel me?
Yo, all the way. Join the conversation. Tell your friends. Tell your kids. Tell your grandkids. Tell your baby mamas, and what you want.
For sure.
I ain't gonna steal your girl. I mean, maybe. Oh no.
Hey yo.
Nah, but for real though, like, just join the conversation, like, comment, subscribe, like you said, and till next time, people.
Yes, sir.